The diner was abuzz with chatter when a group of bikers roared in, their intimidating presence silencing the room. Among the diners was Walter, a 90-year-old war veteran enjoying a quiet cup of coffee. His calm demeanor caught the attention of the gang, and their leader confronted him, mocking his age and war medals. When Walter responded with quiet dignity, the biker struck him across the face. What happened next stunned everyone. Walter pulled out an old phone, made a brief call, and within minutes, police and military vehicles swarmed the parking lot. The bikers were arrested, and the leader learned the hard way that the man he had humiliated was a decorated general and national hero. It was an ordinary afternoon at a roadside diner nestled just off the highway. The sun hung low, casting warm hues over the parking lot as patrons enjoyed their meals inside. Among them was Walter, a 90-year-old war veteran with a neatly pressed plaid shirt, khaki pants, and his unmistakable military cap adorned with medals. He sat quietly in a corner booth, sipping his coffee and gazing out the window, lost in thought. Walter had seen the world through the lens of sacrifice and courage, having served in World War II. Despite his frail frame and weathered face, his eyes still held the sharp glint of a man who had faced the harshest realities of life and emerged stronger. Yet, that day, he wasn't ready for what was about to unfold. The tranquility of the diner was shattered by the roar of motorcycles pulling into the parking lot. A gang of bikers, clad in leather jackets and tattoos, swaggered into the diner. Their presence was intimidating, their laughter loud and boisterous as they took over a large table near the center of the room. The regular patrons exchanged nervous glances, but avoided confrontation, choosing instead to mind their own business. Walter, however, remained unfazed. He continued sipping his coffee, his posture calm and composed, as if the roadiness around him didn't exist. Unfortunately, his quiet demeanor caught the attention of one of the bikers. A towering man with a shaved head and a menacing scowl sauntered over to Walter's booth. "Well, look at this old-timer," the biker sneered, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Sitting here all smug like you own the place." Walter looked up, meeting the biker's glare with an unwavering gaze. "Just enjoying my coffee, son," he said, his voice steady but firm. The biker smirked, clearly amused. "You got guts, old man. But let me tell you something, this ain't your little war zone anymore." The room fell silent, the tension thick in the air. Walter placed his coffee cup down gently and leaned back, his calm demeanor unbroken. "You're right," he said, "but respect is something that shouldn't need a battlefield." The biker's smirk vanished, replaced by a scowl. He leaned closer, his voice a low growl. "You think you're better than me, Grandpa?" Before Walter could respond, the biker's hand lashed out, slapping the old man across the face. Gasps echoed through the diner as Walter's head snapped to the side. The room was paralyzed, no one daring to intervene. Walter slowly turned back, his cheek red from the impact, but his expression remained calm. "You've made your point," he said softly, his voice laced with dignity. He reached into his pocket and pulled out an old flip-style cell phone. The biker burst out laughing. "What are you gonna do? Call your knitting club?" The biker jeered, prompting laughter from his companions. Walter ignored the taunts and dialed a number. He spoke briefly into the phone, his tone calm and concise. When he hung up, he looked at the biker and said simply, "You should leave." The biker laughed harder, slapping the table for emphasis. "Leave? Oh, that's rich. Who do you think you are, old man?" But before Walter could reply, the distant sound of sirens filled the air, growing louder by the second. The bikers exchanged uneasy glances as a convoy of police cars and military vehicles pulled into the parking lot. Officers and soldiers spilled out, surrounding the diner in a matter of moments. The lead officer, a stern-looking man with a decorated badge, strode into the diner. His eyes scanned the room before landing on Walter. Instantly, his expression softened and he snapped to attention. "General Walters, sir," the officer barked, saluting sharply. The entire diner watched in stunned silence as Walter returned the salute with a nod. "Thank you for coming so quickly," he said. The officer turned to the bikers, his demeanor shifting to one of authority. "This man is a decorated war hero and a national treasure. Whoever laid a hand on him will answer to us." The bikers' bravado crumbled as the realization of their mistake dawned on them. The one who had slapped Walter tried to stammer out an apology, but it was too late. Officers swiftly handcuffed the gang, leading them out one by one. As the chaos settled, the officer turned back to Walter. "Is there anything else we can do for you, sir?" Walter shook his head, his expression kind but firm. "Just make sure they learn that respect is earned, not demanded." The officer nodded, clearly moved by Walter's words. "Yes, sir. Thank you for your service." With the bikers gone, the tension in the diner lifted. Patrons began to murmur, their eyes filled with admiration for the elderly man who had handled the situation with such grace and poise. Walter finished his coffee and stood to leave, his movements slow but deliberate. As he walked toward the door, the diner's manager approached him hesitantly. "Sir, your meal is on the house. It's the least we can do to thank you for everything you've done." Walter smiled warmly. "That's kind of you, but I pay my way. Always have, always will." He placed a few bills on the counter before tipping his hat and stepping outside. The patrons watched him go, their respect for him palpable. Outside, Walter paused to look at the horizon, the sun now dipping low, casting a golden glow over the landscape. He took a deep breath, his heart filled with peace. For Walter, the incident became another testament to the life he had lived, one of resilience, courage, and quiet dignity. As the commotion settled, the crowd in the diner couldn't help but be moved by the calm resolve with which Walter had handled the situation. For years, he had endured life's hardships with grace, from fighting on the front lines of war to losing loved ones and navigating the challenges of old age. Yet, his spirit remained unbroken, a beacon of strength and wisdom. News of the incident spread quickly, turning Walter into an unexpected local hero. People were inspired by his ability to face aggression with composure and his unwavering belief in justice. Young men and women who had been in the diner that day found themselves re-evaluating their own notions of respect and courage. Parents told their children about the old man who had stood tall in the face of humiliation, teaching them lessons about humility, bravery, and self-worth. Walter, however, didn't dwell on the event. To him, it was a fleeting moment, not a defining one. What mattered more was the impact it left behind, a reminder to everyone that true strength is rooted in character, not in brute force or intimidation.